The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Listen to me. It is Wednesday, March 11th, 2026, and the world is on fire, but in a good way, for once. We are burning out the rot, we are cutting through the static, and we are delivering the truth directly to your cerebral cortex. I am Ray the Hammer Miller, and across from me, sitting there in a suit that probably cost more than my first 3 trucks combined, is the man, the myth, the lobster king himself, Walter Blackwood.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ray, although pleasure is perhaps the wrong word when one considers the weight of the responsibility we carry. Roughly speaking, we are attempting to navigate a landscape of absolute moral chaos, a dragon of unformed potential that's currently breathing fire on everything we hold dear. But we have a busy show today, an important show, a great show, really, if one can find greatness in the struggle for truth.
It's a great show because we're winning, Walter. I've got the white papers right here. They don't want you to know what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. They don't want you to know about the Save America Act. But we're gonna lay it all out. We've got a packed episode, folks. We're talking about the dismantling of the China dream, the death of DEI fraud, and the most favored nation pricing for your meds.
It's no joke, man. The architecture of the world is shifting. The very foundations are being re-poured. And if we don't pay attention to the corners, the whole structure will collapse into a resentful postmodern heap.
No time for collapsing today. We start with fire. Operation Epic Fury, Day 12. Listen to me. They are liquidating the infrastructure of the globalist vampires in Tehran as we speak. Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane. I've seen the reports, Walter. They've hit 5,000 targets. 5,000!
It's the reemergence of the father archetype, Ray. You see, for decades, we've allowed this chaotic entity to spread its wings across the Middle East, funded by weakness and a lack of moral clarity. But now, the boundaries are being set. Brutally, yes, but boundaries are necessary for any kind of sovereign existence, roughly speaking.
Brutal is an understatement. I'm looking at the situation report from March 10th. 51 Iranian vessels gone. Gone! They tried to move a drone carrier ship yesterday. Kaboom! Sent it to the bottom of the Gulf to join the rest of the interdimensional garbage. General Kane says ballistic missile fire is down 90%. 90%!
And yet it isn't just about the missiles, is it? It's about the China dream, the strategic signaling. By severing these energy lifelines, the administration is telling the CCP that their dream is, well, it's a nightmare of centralized control that the West will no longer facilitate. It's about dismantling the devouring mother of the state on a global scale.
They're cutting the umbilical cord of the globalists. The national news is reporting 3 more vessels struck by unknown projectiles in the Strait of Hormuz. We know who they are, Walter. It's the hammer. It's the anvil. We're seeing a no-nation-building policy in real time. We aren't going in there to build schools for people who hate us. We're going in there to turn their military-industrial complex into a parking lot.
Right, because you cannot impose order on a culture from the outside. You can only remove the capacity for that culture to project chaos outward. It's a recognition of individual sovereignty, of national sovereignty. And it's bloody complicated. It's no joke. You see, if you try to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed, you end up possessed by your own hubris.
Exactly. Smash the hardware, leave the software to rot. That's how you'll win. But while we're smashing things abroad, we've got a war in the Senate, too. The Save America Act. Trump's drawn a line in the sand, Walter. He said he won't sign a single piece of paper until they mandate proof of citizenship for voting.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't know who is part of the we in We the People, then there is no we. There's just a collection of atomized individuals with no shared stake in the hierarchy of the nation. The Save America Act, H.R. 8281, it's a common-sense requirement for documentary evidence of citizenship, passports, birth certificates.
It's about time. I've been screaming about the voter rolls for years, and they're purging them, Walter, using DHS and Social Security data to kick off the non-citizens. The globalists want a borderless world because a borderless world is a world they can control with their shadowy algorithms.
It's resentment, Ray. The postmodern neo-Marxist types hate the idea of a border because a border implies a distinction between better and worse, between inside and outside, and they want everything to be a gray soup of equality. But equality of outcome is a murderous ideology. You need election integrity to maintain the architecture of a functioning republic.
And they've got the DHS partially shuttered. 25 days now. Trump isn't budging. He's saying secure the vote or the lights stay off. Meanwhile, they're shifting the deportation strategy, prioritizing the violent criminals first. Common sense. You get the wolves out of the henhouse before you count the chickens.
Right. You address the most egregious violations of the social contract first, because when you have violent offenders roaming the streets, the tragedy of the individual becomes unbearable. We see it every day. The youth being led into despair because they feel the world is unsafe. And they're right.
They're right because the system was rigged for the fraudsters. Walter, look at this report from the SBA. Kelly Loeffler's cleaning house. Termination proceedings for 628 firms in the 8-8 Business Development Program. They took $850 million in federal contracts and then refused to show their books. Refused.
Well, of course they refused, because the DEI mandates were never about equity. They were about the distribution of loot based on identity rather than merit. It's a pass-through scheme for the incompetent to rob the competent. It's the subversion of the competence hierarchy. And when you subvert that hierarchy, the bridges collapse and the lights go out.
They were using socially disadvantaged status as a shield. I have the white papers, $850 million. And Loeffler saying no more. The DOJ under Pam Bondi has turned the Civil Rights Fraud Initiative into a predatory beast for the good guys. They're using the False Claims Act to hunt down these DEI vampires.
It's a return to accountability. It's about cleaning your room, Ray, or in this case, cleaning the cabinet. If a firm can't provide 3 years of financial documents, they shouldn't be within 10 miles of a government contract. Roughly speaking, we're seeing the equity-first era being replaced by the reality-first era.
Reality is hitting them hard. $3.8 million in subsidies went to 94,000 dead Californians. Dead people. They're probably voting too, Walter. The globalists love the dead because the dead don't complain when you steal their money.
It's the devouring mother state, Ray. It's a manifestation of the desire to provide for everyone until the very concept of providing becomes a form of theft. It's a sickness of the soul. It reminds me of why we're here, really.
We're here because of builders, Walter. Before we get back to the analysis, let's deal with a hard reality. Real independence isn't free. This entire network, from this show to our flagship, The Neural Daily, exists because one man, Eric Christensen, decided to build it himself. He didn't ask for a government grant. He invested his own capital and technical expertise to architect a platform that respects your intelligence. If you value that kind of meritocratic building, back it up. And don't limit yourself just to the politics. Get the full strategic picture by subscribing to the Neural Daily and the rest of the network. Support the builder and you support the mission.
It's a moral imperative, really, to support the structures that allow for the free exchange of ideas. Without them, we're just screaming into the void. And that brings me to something that actually makes me quite emotional, right? The Supreme Court decision in Mirabelli versus Bonta.
6-3, baby, the hammer of justice. They blocked California from hiding gender transitions from parents.
You have these two daughters in the Escondido Union School District, middle schoolers. They were undergoing these life-altering interventions at school, and the parents were kept in the dark. And both of those children, God, it's a tragedy, they attempted suicide before the parents even knew what was happening. Schools were cutting out the primary protectors of children's best interests, their parents.
It's demonic, Walter. There's no other word for it. They want to sever the bond between parent and child so the state can become the surrogate father and the surrogate mother. The Supreme Court said it violates the 14th Amendment and the First Amendment. Parental rights do not end at the schoolhouse door.
19 states, led by South Carolina, they've joined in. They're saying the school is not the ultimate authority. The family is the fundamental unit of society. If you destroy the family, you destroy the individual, and you leave the youth, you leave them drifting in a sea of ideological possession. It's a victory for the architecture of being.
It's a victory for common sense, but some people still don't have it. Have you seen Dave Pinto, this Minnesota state rep? He's in a committee hearing yesterday talking about retail theft, and he actually suggests, I'm not kidding, I have the transcript, he suggests we should study the benefits of shoplifting.
It's the chaos dragon. It's the belief that because someone is relying on theft, that the theft itself is a social good. It's a complete inversion of morality. It's saying that the violation of someone else's property is a benefit if it assists the thief. Roughly speaking, it's the end of civilization.
Pinto tried to claim it was sarcasm today after the video went viral. Sarcasm? While people in Minnesota are watching their stores get looted for $610 million, retailers are locking up the soap and the deodorant. You can't even buy a stick of Old Spice without a clerk with a key, and this guy wants to study the benefits.
It's a form of resentful radicalism that treats the criminal as the victim and the productive member of society as the oppressor. It's a narrative that has replaced historical truth, like we discussed with the History Rocks tour. They want to erase the hero and replace him with the shoplifter as a victim of circumstance. It's bloody pathetic.
It's more than pathetic. It's a war on the middle class, which is why what Trump is doing in Ohio today is so critical. Listen to me. TrumpRx.gov. He's at the Thermo Fisher plant in Reading right now, celebrating 1 month of this platform.
This is the centerpiece of the economic relief strategy, and it's actually a very sophisticated piece of policy, the most favored nation model. Roughly speaking, it ensures that Americans aren't paying more than the lowest price paid in peer nations, the UK, Germany, Canada. Why should we subsidize the rest of the world's healthcare while our own citizens struggle?
Exactly. Why are we the world's piggy bank? Trump made deals with 16 pharma giants, Pfizer, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk. He told them, give us the lower prices or I'm hitting you with tariffs that'll make your head spin. And it worked. I'm looking at the list. Wegovy, the weight loss drug. List price is $1,349. On TrumpRx, $199.
It's an 83% discount in some cases. Gonal F for infertility, $252. It bypasses the insurance middlemen, those bureaucratic vampires who sit in the middle of the transaction and suck the blood out of the patient. It's a direct-to-consumer model that uses gold embossed coupons. It's very Trump, but it's very effective.
Gold embossed. I love it. It makes the globalists at the insurance companies lose their minds. They're calling it a cash-only price that doesn't count towards deductibles. Who cares? If the drug is 80% cheaper, you don't need the deductible. You're keeping your own money.
That's the key. You're empowering the individual to make their own choices in the marketplace. And it's no joke. The administration is pairing this with housing reform too. The Senate housing bill, it's targeting these institutional investors, the BlackRocks of the world, who are buying up single-family homes and turning them into build-to-rent properties.
They want us to be a nation of renters. You will own nothing and you will be happy. That's the World Economic Forum slogan, Walter. But this bill is a pushback. Trade groups are balking. They're crying about market interference. But listen, if a young man can't buy a house because a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund outbid him with funny money, that's not a free market. That's a rigged game.
It's a subversion of the American dream. To own a piece of land is to have a stake in the world, to have a room to clean. If you are forever a tenant of a faceless corporation, you never truly take responsibility for your environment. You remain a child of the corporate mother. This bill is about restoring the possibility of ownership. It's about the architecture of the home.
And they're talking about Social Security purchasing power, too. The reality is, if inflation keeps eating the dollar, it doesn't matter what your check says. These drug price cuts are a stealth raise for every senior in America. It's real, practical relief, while the postmodern neo-Marxists are busy studying the benefits of shoplifting.
It's a stark contrast. On one hand, you have a philosophy that encourages theft and dependency, and on the other, a policy that demands responsibility from corporations and provides relief to the individual. Roughly speaking, we are seeing the choice between chaos and order play out in the drug aisles of Ohio.
I'll take order. I'll take the hammer. I'll take the gold-embossed coupons over the globalist empty promises any day of the week. We are seeing the dismantling of the old guard, Walter. From Tehran to the pharmacy counter. It's over for the vampires.
It's a beginning. A difficult, bloody beginning. But if we can maintain our integrity, if we can keep our focus on the truth of the individual, then maybe, just maybe, the youth will have a world worth inheriting. It's no joke, man.
It's no joke, and it's happening now. Get to TrumpRx. Get your super male vitality bone broth. And keep your head on a swivel. We're back tomorrow with more documents, more truth, and more common sense.
Clean your room. And stay sovereign.
And stay dangerous. We'll see you next time on the Neural Right.